So guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. So guys, what do you make of the news that Mike Tyson has rejected $25 million to fight Evander Holyfield in the trilogy? I'm quite staggered actually. Before I get into it, just to remind you, at 8 o'clock we'll be going live, so make sure to tune in. But yeah, let's get back to it. Mike Tyson rejecting 25 million. What could be the reason by Mike Tyson rejecting $25 million to fight Evander Holyfield? Obviously, it would be a huge fight, and as we saw with the Roy Jones Mike Tyson, that did over nearly 1.6 million pay-per-view buys. I think it shows how big Mike Tyson is. And I was talking to someone the other day, and I was actually telling them that Mike Tyson, don't compare him to anybody, because Mike Tyson, after Ali, was probably the second most famous boxer to ever lace up a pair of gloves. Mike Tyson's an iconic figure, and I'm not surprised that he did 1.6 million pay-per-view buys at the age of 50, because like I said, he's such a big star, and the intrigue of people wanting to see him fight again was always going to be there. And I think if he fights Evander Holyfield, I think that's even bigger than the Roy Jones fight, and I think that'd do even bigger numbers, right? I think it would be huge. And maybe he's rejected $25 million because maybe he thinks the fight's worth more. I don't know. I don't know why he's rejected it. Why would you reject $25 million? Mike Tyson at this age, and we don't know was it going to be like an exhibition fight? Is it going to be a pro? I don't know what the setup was, and what the format they were going to fight. Was it going to be an exhibition or a proper fight? I don't know. But 25 million is a hell of a lot of money to reject, to turn down. Is it because Mike Tyson feels that there's more money in the fight and he can make more from the fight? I don't know. Only Mike Tyson can tell you why, and his team can tell you why he rejected that. But, Evander Holyfield and their team are not happy because they're slamming him that he's rejected that kind of money for a trilogy. But obviously Mike Tyson's probably got his reasons behind it. Maybe it doesn't fit his schedule. Maybe there's more money to be made, and Mike Tyson's, speaking to his team, and his team have got, other offers that they feel on the table that are more lucrative. Who knows? Because Mike Tyson's a superstar. Let's be honest, Mike Tyson's an iconic, even a superstar is probably small, iconic. Like, Mike Tyson is so big. He is so big. Like, literally Mike Tyson in the UK is a household name. Mike Tyson in America is a household name. Mike Tyson in Asia is a household name. Mike Tyson all over the world is a household name. He is massive. He is massive. So when he did 1.6 million pay-per-view buys against Roy Jones, it's not shocking, because it's Iron Mike. It's Iron Mike. There's so much intrigue around Iron Mike Tyson that it's not surprising. Like with Holyfield, I'm probably expecting 2 million plus pay-per-view buys, because that's the stature of Mike Tyson. That's the stature of Mike Tyson. These fighters today, like Canelo, right, is the biggest star in America. He don't come close to Mike Tyson. Not even close. You can't even compare. Like, I was speaking to my dad the other day, and he was saying, like, Canelo's great, and my dad actually likes Canelo. He thinks he's a great fighter. He was actually telling me that you can't even really compare Canelo and Mike Tyson. It's not even comparable. Like, yeah, Canelo might be a better fighter than Tyson. He might go down as a greater fighter, yes. But in terms of name and fame and the iconic aura that Mike Tyson had, the aura, like my dad was saying, the aura. No fighter today has that aura. Even Mayweather didn't come close. Like, he didn't have the aura of a Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson today, right? Think about it. Mike Tyson, when he fought, there was no social media, nothing, right? Mike Tyson today has more followers than Canelo Alvarez and Anthony Joshua on all social media platforms. He has more followers on Instagram than, I'm pretty sure, if I'm wrong, correct me, but I'm pretty sure he has more followers than AJ. He has more followers than Canelo, and these are two of the biggest stars in world boxing. And when Mike Tyson fought, remember, there was no social media. There was no social media when Mike Tyson was around, remember? Right? You get a lot of guys that were really famous in their time, but because there was no social media, they've not got such a big social media profile. An example could be someone like Nazim Hamed. there was no social media around when he was fighting. And when you look at his social media numbers, it's fairly small to how big a star, you know, he was when he was fighting. But he's not got a big following on social media. Mike Tyson was from the 80s, 90s. You know, there was no social media back then. And Mike Tyson still to this day, 2021, and I know he just fought recently, but he's got 16 million, I believe, 16 million on Insta? Like, the guy's an icon. Like, think about it. He's not even fighting, not even relevant anymore in boxing sense, but yet he's still got such a huge appeal, a huge name. That tells you the aura, the iconic name of Iron Mike, how big he was. So when I see all the numbers and how much these guys are making, like Canelo and Joshua floating around, I'm thinking if Mike Tyson was around this era, what would he be making? Like, imagine how big, like, think about how big Mike Tyson is. Like, how much money would he be making per fight? You know, Mike Tyson's, he's unrivaled. His fame, his name, is unrivaled. His fighting style was so exciting. He was such an exciting fighter. He was just a complete package, and people love Mike Tyson. Even though Mike Tyson used to talk a lot, he used to do a lot of trash talking, he used to say a lot of controversial things, but yet still people loved him because he had that aura. He had that aura about him, and he was like a beast in the ring. And to be honest with you, I think he could make even more than $25 million. That might be a reason why he rejected the offer, because maybe his team have got other offers on the table that might be more lucrative for that fight, and maybe they're not happy with that $25 million, or maybe it's just a case it didn't fit his schedule, whatever it is. But it won't shock me either way, because although we're looking at it 25 million, because 25 million is a lot of money, especially for active like Spence or Crawford. It's a shed loads of money for them. For a retired Mike Tyson, it should be a bagful. But Mike Tyson's the appeal and the name is so big that he could probably make more than that. Do you understand? He could probably make more than that amount of money that's being offered. He could probably make 50, 60 million to fight Evander Holyfield. He's that big a star, and the pay-per-view revenue that fight's going to generate, the numbers that fight's going to generate is going to be crazy. The money that will generate, huge. Because let's be honest, 1.6 million for Roy Jones and Mike Tyson. Evander Holyfield is a different kettle of fish. We're talking about two guys that had history. You know. And imagine how big that would be. The trilogy, oh my God, there'll be people wanting to see that without question. Loads of people wanting to see that. This would be a huge fight. This would push some of the biggest fights in world boxing today. That's how big it would be. The event. That's how big Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield is. It's huge because Mike Tyson's name is so big. It's so big. Not just in boxing, but worldwide, globally. Right? There's a difference. There's like guys like Joshua, Canelo. These are big within boxing, and they've got a casual fan base, yes. But there's a difference between a global superstar and a guy that's like a Joshua and Canelo. Joshua and Canelo aren't global superstars. They're superstars within their country, people that know them within boxing, yes. But they're not global. A global superstar is somebody that's recognized all over the world. Like, you could go anywhere in the world and people recognize who you are. Like, I'm very confident if Anthony Joshua goes to like Asia, like India, Pakistan, nobody knows who that is. Mike Tyson goes there and everybody knows who Mike Tyson is. Mike Tyson went to India and he got treated like a king. Like literally, he was so famous there, and people were like queuing to meet him. He's that big. He's that big. Anthony Joshua hasn't got that kind of appeal, and never will, by the way. And that's no shame. He'll never be as big as Mike Tyson was one of a kind. No one's gonna be that big. Like I said, after Ali, he's the second most famous boxer to lace him up. There hasn't been a more famous boxer apart from Ali than Mike Tyson. There hasn't been. Even Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, all of these great fighters didn't have the name that Mike Tyson had. Mike Tyson, the aura, the name, it was just, there was something. Like when he came here to the UK, man, when in his prime, look at how many people were queuing up to see him. Like literally they had to cordon things off because Mike Tyson couldn't come out. He couldn't come out the venue because there were so many people outside waiting to see him. Mike Tyson was a different level of fame, different, like I said, a global superstar. And not many people can say that they were globally recognized, like Ali, Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley. Like Mike Tyson fits into that kind of category. He was that big. He was a global superstar. And very few people, I'm talking like hardly any, reach that level where they're global superstars, where they're icons, where they're known all over the world. Mike Tyson. And listen, Mike Tyson, he may have not even been the greatest heavyweight in his time. He may have not even been the greatest fighter. Listen, fame and how great you are, obviously you've got to be great. And Mike Tyson was a legend. He was great, of course. But sometimes like Lennox Lewis, for example, might have been the best of that era, but he hasn't got anywhere near the name Tyson's got. It's about the aura. Mike Tyson had an aura. He had an image that resonated all over the world, where people were like, oh, Mike Tyson. They started naming their pit bulls Mike Tyson. You know, he had that aura, Mike Tyson. You know, very few people in boxing I've seen like have had that kind of aura. I can't think of any. Like maybe George Foreman, but even George Foreman didn't have the aura of an Iron Mike. Like the name, even Foreman doesn't have the name of Iron Mike, the aura of Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was, like I said, the second most famous, in my opinion anyway, the second most famous fighter after Ali to grace planet Earth. Like he was, so many people love Mike Tyson. I can't explain. Like I've got friends today that, and I'm pretty sure he didn't even see Mike Tyson fight. Couldn't have done. My age, well, I didn't see Mike Tyson fight. He was way before my time. Way before my time. Remember, I'm 28. Mike Tyson, what, late 80s, 90s? I wasn't even born when Mike Tyson was fighting. So he was before my time, and before most people, most of my friends that I have that are into boxing. He was way before their time as well. But he had that aura. To this day, Mike Tyson is looked upon. I'm like, Mike Tyson, what beast. Very few people have that kind of aura. And Mike Tyson's definitely one of those guys that had that aura. So that's why I feel a fight with him and Evander Holyfield would do huge numbers. I'm talking 2 million plus pay-per-view buys in America. So maybe that's why they kind of rejected that offer, because they feel that there's more money in that fight. 25 million is not enough. There's 30, 40, 50, 60 million in that fight. Possibly. So Mike Tyson's thinking, I'm not taking $25 million. Why? There's more money in it. Because Evander Holyfield's team offered him that dough. So I'm wondering, like, surely Mike Tyson has a team. He has people around him. Maybe they've because obviously he's not rejected that himself. He's obviously consulted his team, and they've come to the decision where they rejected it. They've obviously rejected it. 25 million is a lot of money to turn down. If you don't have a backup plan, it's a lot of money. Especially Mike Tyson's made it clear that he's going to fight. So it's not like he doesn't want to fight. He wants to fight. So it's quite clear that, Mike Tyson's going to fight again, and he wouldn't turn down $25 million if he knows that there isn't more money on the table, or it just doesn't fit his schedule. I think it's more them sitting down and then probably other lucrative deals on the table, So let's see, man. Let's see. I'd love to see a trilogy. I'm not all for it. Two guys in the 50s fighting one another. I'm all for it. I know people are going to put it down, but look at the attention Mike Tyson and Roy Jones had 1.6 million pay-per-view buys. This is going to be even bigger, so I ain't got no problem with it. Leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think, guys. Iron Mike Tyson turns down $25 million to face Evander Holyfield in the trilogy. Leave your thoughts, and guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure all to tune in at 8 o'clock at the live stream. Peace.